Live from a NASCAR bunker in Kyle's parents' basement, it's Turn the Radio Off with Mike Parsons and Kyle Bauer.
Become a fan at Facebook.com/TTRO Show. Follow along on Twitter.com/TTRO Show. Or just listen right now. It's Turn the Radio Off.
You know what I often wonder about this era in history, Kyle?
Oh, there's a lot to wonder about it, and I don't think any of it's good.
Well, you know how the 60s were supposedly a very transformative time?
Yes.
Free love and all of that. We kind of came out of the puritanical 50s, and then we transitioned into the free love 60s and into the 70s, and then there's the AIDS scare in the 80s that kind of put an end to all that. But I wonder, see, the 60s were 50 years ago now. 30 to 50 years, what this decade of time here, I would say from the beginning of the Obama administration until now, how it will be viewed transformatively. Obviously, there's been a lot of social changes, not just with healthcare, but I'm talking, mostly gay marriage and things of the ilk. And it seems like Fox News has been using culture war as a propaganda buzz term for years, but I feel like it's kind of apropos right now, because obviously right before the last time Barack Obama was elected, the gay marriage movement began to it began to gain support. And of course, there was some back and forth, but I got the feeling that most people were for gay marriage, and it was the vocal minority that was digging in their heels and making a stink about it.
And I find it interesting also because we could be at I guess, kind of a pivotal point in culture. I would think so, because look how far to the left you have some people pushing, look how far to the right you have other people pushing. And I think that's where you can draw one parallel to the 60s, where you had a group of people who wanted civil rights, who wanted equality, who wanted, really liberalism and progressivism across the board. And then you had, that was born out of McCarthyism. Which was the total opposite. And you still had a lot of people hung over from that, a lot of people who were still very invested in the Cold War, a lot of people who obviously were still invested in segregation and the pushback from the South. And, yeah, you do draw parallels. You look at what's happening right now in the fight for gay rights. I mean, you're not seeing people lose their lives.
Thankfully,
I mean, there were people who lost their lives during the Stonewall riots in New York decades ago. But this isn't a battle that gay people have had to fight and die for, like black people have. That doesn't make it any less important. I'm just saying that's something, thankfully, that's come of this, is that it's been more peaceful. So we have that, and then also kind of. I can't draw a comparison between people have tried to draw comparisons between Bernie Sanders and George McGovern and all that, or maybe some people have made comparisons between Trump and George Wallace or Goldwater.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't think there's really any comparisons between Trump, though. I think that's the one thing that's different in our history, is that Obama and Trump are two figures that are transcendent, that there's really nothing comparable to now in any other era. And they're two figures that I think people are having a really hard time reconciling with one way or the other.
Well, and I think, gay marriage was legalized how many years ago now? Two-ish years, give or take?
Yeah. I think, well, actually, I don't think it was that long ago, but I mean, it's we're getting there. Time's marching on, certainly.
And it seems like, obviously, now that it's become the law of the land, the anti-gay marriage crowd is digging in their heels. See Kim Davis in Kentucky and Mike Huckabee looking like a total doofus with her at her rally. Both of them are going to look really stupid in a history book. But now you've got these states that are passing these quote-unquote religious freedom bills. And a lot of them have to do with bathrooms, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But the crux of them, Kyle, are protecting people who want to discriminate against homosexuals from lawsuits. And essentially that's what these bills are. And they hide behind religious freedom because, I guess religious freedom gives you more rights to discriminate against gay people and not against people who mix cloth, which is also forbidden in Leviticus. But, of course, a lot of people out there, a lot of entertainers tend to skew liberal. So Bruce Springsteen, he refuses to play these states that pass these laws. Bryan Adams refuses to play these states that pass these laws. Jimmy Buffett says he doesn't like the laws, but he's not going to let...
No, he needs that money.
Well,
he needs that old white people money.
Well, and you know what? I think I would...
Nothing's going to stop him from getting it.
I would actually take Jimmy Buffett's approach. Where
that guy's a machine.
He's going to say, well, his Cheeseburger in Paradise, his restaurant chains aren't doing too great. But
He plays shows in front of just rows of ATMs, and he has the pin to all of them.
Buy this parrot hat.
Shooting out cash at him. Old white people who are bored and have nothing better to do than to follow this dude around and just throw money at him.
But he put out a statement that says, look, he doesn't like the law.
Subculture.
But he's not going to let bigotry punish his fans. And
There's a lot of bad things about white people. I think Jimmy Buffett might be the worst.
I don't know. I'd put the Klan up there above Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was going a little overboard. I'm sorry. I got emotional there.
You know what I would do, though? I would go to these things, okay? If I were a performer, I would go to these states, I would perform, and I would just spew my pro-gay liberal propaganda between every song.
There you go. That's an interesting approach.
And for, if you don't like it, you can leave. Tickets are non-refundable. It'll say right there as you pay. Because that's the free market, Kyle.
It is.
This is that free market that they love so much being used against it. And now, instead of them saying they're using the free market to their advantage, they're going to say that they're attacking freedom of religion when they're not.
Which is a great point, because that's the thing that always slays me, the amount of hypocrisy and bigotry that it takes to allow laws that discriminate against people while at the same time touting liberty and the beauty of the capitalistic free market.
Well, it's liberty for white Anglo-Saxon Christians.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what this country is built upon.
And it's a free market for them.
You know what this nation wasn't built upon? Liberty for the Native Americans.
Certainly not.
That's all you need to know.
No, and as we move forward, I mean, you could see it's taken gay people a very long time to get where they're at today. Where I think they're broadly accepted, but obviously we're in transgendered people still have a very long way to go. Unfortunately, but
I think it is. I think our culture finally said, "Hey, okay." Gay people, we can accept them. They're not a threat. And then soon after, they were faced with transgendered, and I just don't think that they were ready yet.
Yeah,
they're kind of broadsided. I mean, not a knock against the transgender community, but you had all these quote unquote straights who saw the row of homosexuals and said, "Oh, they're not too bad. They're not too threatening. They're not trying to convert me or convert my children or thin out the gene pool." Okay, cool. You guys are good. And then they say, "Oh, transsexual. What's that? This is scary and weird. I'm going to run back and hide again."
Yeah, I mean, because Gay people were scary and weird, and now they need to have something else to find scary and weird, and that's transgender people, and that's the battle, unfortunately.
Thanks a lot, Ellen. Thanks for making sexuality mainstream and non-threatening.
Right, and ruining it for transgender people. Yeah. Well, I mean, to some people though, it's gotten to that point where it's like, okay, we've had to put up with hearing about how we have to accept gay people, and about how anyone could be gay, even my nephew, even my daughter, even whatever. Now we have to hear that my nephew might want to be my niece, like. It's a lot for people's minds to wrap around. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm saying that right now we're seeing the final. We're mansplaining. Right now we're seeing the final. I'm going to do some manspreading right now too.
Well, Kyle,
right now we're seeing the final. I think we're seeing the final pushback though, and it's going to be a fight, but I think we're seeing the final pushback.
Well, Kyle, I've been thinking about the bathroom thing all week for the past 2 weeks, and before I get to that, I want to tell you about this. I call this a nuclear bomb in the culture war, Kyle.
A nuclear bomb in the bathroom?
Only after Taco Bell. Hey-o. No, Springsteen making a point. Okay, it's good for optics, but culturally, how relevant's that going to be? Same thing with Bryan Adams. No matter what side of the aisle you fall on, sure, Summer of '69's a bitch in tune, but how much social gravitas does Bryan Adams have?
Well, it's not like it's 1984 or 1986 again.
You know what has a butt ton of social gravitas? Porn. And what X-Hamster has done, X-Hamster, it's it's not your YouPorn or your Pornhub, but it's that second tier. It's that second tier.
Sometimes you end up getting redirected to it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's usually how it works.
And you know what?
And you're always weirded out by the name.
As long as that thing that thing doesn't pop up that says go to the store, buy a green card.
Oh, I haven't gotten that one.
The one that says oh, you've been infected with malware. Go to Walgreens, get a green dot card. And
I can explain that though. That's because I rolled for years with a MacBook, so I never had to worry about that stuff.
Don't mansplain your man book.
I just Mac-splained. I just Mac-splained the hell out of it, and I got to continue to Apple-splain it. And that is.
I'm not sure if I can Apple stain it. Ascertain. Anyway,
there's a lot of staining going on. Anyway, as I was saying, and then I converted. Never mind.
Hey, let me tell you what X-Hamster's doing though, Kyle. It is blocking.
I just didn't have to do with pop-ups. I've been pop-up free, man. It's free surfing.
Good for you. I hear
tidal waves coming in.
There's a pill for that when you don't get a pop-up when you're looking at porn. But let me tell you what X-Hamster is doing, Kyle. It has blocked the IP of every single user in North Carolina. And what the CEO of Mike Kulik, spokesman for X-Hamster, said back in March, they had 400,000 hits for the term transsexual from the state alone.
Really?
And the state searched gay 319,907 times. So that's over 700,000 signatures.
There's a demographic there.
Yeah, and you know what? To be fair, this isn't something that the people of North Carolina voted for. It's something the lawmakers passed, which you could say they voted for because they voted for the lawmakers, but it's not like it went up to a ballot. But what they said, hey, that's 700,000 signatures. If there's 700,000 people searching these terms, pissed off they can't get their porn, that's a pretty nice petition. So
and I actually like that a lot because one, how insane is it? By the way, just wrap your head around. We talked about X-Hamster and how they're in kind of like that other tier.
Yeah.
They're still getting that many hits just from one state for two specific
terms.
For search terms alone. Like that's just mind-boggling.
Just think how many searches there are for sister, hot stepmom down there, missing teeth how
Gummers, yeah.
exactly. Sexy grandma.
Well, yeah, man, if only, and by the way, good for all these people who started these tube sites, because while you could question the ethics of the porn industry and what they post, you have to say, as far as being an entrepreneur and knowing what ship to board, oh man, say it's 2008 and you you decide to start a domain called XHamster. I don't know what you're thinking with that domain name.
No, I will not.
But you were smart enough to put porn videos on there and think that dude's probably making a lot of freaking money.
If some guy came up to me and said, "Do you want to invest in XHamster?" I said, "What is this? A rescue for surrendered hamsters?"
Which I would love to invest in.
Yeah, and you know what? You would be rolling in the dough, and I'd be like, "Hey, Kyle, let me hold $1."
Well, I mean, I would love to invest in the hamster rescue. I'd probably say no to the porn site because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well,
I'd be all on board for the hamster rescue, though.
I only watch free-range porn, so I make sure that it's guilt-free. Okay, so Kyle, we're going to take a quick break. And like I said, anytime we're faced with a new cultural discussion, I'm constantly thinking about it, and my opinion constantly changes and evolves. And I see you kind of as my most liberal voice of conscience, voice of morality, so to speak.
Thank you.
So I like to bounce these ideas off of you.
Sure.
So when I come back, I am going to, as a cis-gender male, mansplain to you what I think is a harmonious solution to the transgendered bathroom controversy.
While I continue to manspread.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Summer's a-coming. It's Turn the Radio Off on the internet.
Less rock, more talk. Turn the radio off.
Become a fan at peoplehatemypodcast.com.
So, let me repeat your order here. That'll be 1 double cheeseburger, ching. Large fries and a large soda, ching. 2 kids' meals and 2 medium sodas, ching. 1 chicken sandwich, large fries, and a vanilla milkshake. Bada bing. That'll be $62.75. We're a little shy.
Remember when you could feed your whole family fast food for less than $10? Well, at Rally's, you still can. Rally's has it right.
Attention! Your gym teacher escaped from charm school, irons his underwear, watches hygiene films. He says, anyone chewing bubble tape owes me 50 push-ups. The lunch lady wears a hairnet, serves mashed potatoes with an ice cream scoop, puts gravy on everything. She says,
bubble tape is not part of a well-balanced diet.
Bubble tape, it's 6 feet of bubble gum for you, not them.
Switch off the radio. Turn off the radio. Shut down your radio system.
We'll do it live!
What?
I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Turn the radio off. There you go. I'm drunk.
So let me preface this by saying that as a member of the privileged class all across the board.
Oh, yeah.
White, middle class, male, cis-gendered, which cis-gendered means that you identify with the gender in which you were born. There's a lot of things I'm not sensitive to. Even though I try to be understanding, there's certain things that I'll never see, certain prejudices against groups of people, and certain slights that people who aren't in my privileged class face.
And as with me, all I can do is try to understand and empathize. And also a really good thing, too, is listen to people of those marginalized groups.
100%.
You'll find, surprisingly, they have the best perspective on this stuff.
Right. And, Kyle, and sometimes where you and I, we try to empathize, sometimes we will over-empathize, and sometimes we will under-empathize. But just know we're trying. Just know we're trying, and
we're trying to be decent allies. It doesn't mean we're gonna be perfect.
Well,
but we're trying.
And Kyle, I'm not so sure if I'm searching to be an ally, I'm just searching to be fair to everybody.
That's a great way of putting it.
Because if I feel like somebody is evoking racism to get them out of to save their ass when they're acting unscrupulously, I'm going to call that out, like Cosby.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think if people would just listen to each other, and if I'm not afraid to say something that comes across as well-intentioned but yet ignorant, and if other people are willing to let me get away with saying something ignorant yet well-intentioned, we can have a dialogue, and maybe we can meet in the middle somewhere. And I got to be honest with you, Kyle. After the gay marriage thing, I did not even anticipate the transgendered bathroom locker room controversy at all. It just, just blindsided me. And you know what that's an example of? That's an example of what I was talking about earlier, my blindness to issues as a member of the most privileged class.
Yeah, and also, too, I didn't see it coming, but I do remember around, 15, 20 years ago, shared bathrooms were a big topic, back then. Mm-hmm. And some workplaces around that time implemented shared bathrooms for men and women, shared public restrooms, and still have them in place. And that was kind of, I guess, in a very weird way, a piece to all this. I'm just saying public restrooms have been debated before.
Well, and you know what? Like I said, my opinion on bathrooms themselves, like where you actually go to relieve yourself, to me that's not much of an issue, because bathrooms have stalls, okay? So if I walk into a woman's room dressed as a woman and I go into the stall and I have male parts, no one's going to know because I'm in a stall. Mm-hmm. So to me, as long as you're not doing something that would get you in trouble in a bathroom anyway, you're set.
Right.
To me, I think the big issue is probably locker rooms where you're going to have nude people together. And when I think of these, I'm like, okay, is this behavior, is it damaging to anyone? The only people I could possibly see being affected by this maybe is, a kid in a locker room and someone, with different parts walks in. That's it. And I think maybe you take that into consideration a little bit, but how many kids are using a gym? Maybe if you're at the water park or something. But to me, that's the only people I could see maybe being negatively affected by it.
Yeah, and I think my concern too would be for the safety of those transgender people,
and that's a great point, because that's something nobody thinks of. But they're all, they also face a risk themselves,
for sure. And I think that's also. I think there are people, and I said this last week, and I'll reiterate, there are people who I think see the transsexuals as the possible predators in these scenarios, when actually I think in most cases they actually 99 out of 100 times, I think 99.5 out of 100 times they're going to be the prey.
Right, especially in a high school locker room. They're
going to be the target of bullying, and I mean, statistics back that up. All the bullying that transgender people unfortunately have to face.
Right, and see, to me, I see that mostly happening in high school locker rooms, and that I don't feel like I've thought deeply enough to even have a decent opinion on that. Actually,
99.9, maybe 1% of a trans person could feel like taking on someone and beating the crap out of them. But, who knows? I mean, I'm not in their heads.
Exactly. Practically thinking,
only
Kyle,
1%, just their pinky.
Practically thinking, I thought, okay, well, maybe what you do is you just make a third gender-neutral bathroom or transgendered bathroom. And at first I thought, okay, well, that's kind of isolating them. That's kind of marginalizing them. But I don't know. Is it marginalizing to men that they can't go into the women's room, or to women who can't go into the women's room or men's room? You know what I'm saying? Isn't it just kind of? Can't you just say that that's a third sex or gender and just make a third bathroom?
It's not in the binary for it to be discriminatory, though. It's what we've always been brought up with.
Well,
There's a difference. I think that's not exclusionary. I mean, that is what it is. I think in this instance, when you have a law provoke a rash of new bathrooms having to be built, then you are being exclusionary. You're separating. You're saying, okay, no, you can't go in this bathroom or that bathroom like a normal person. You have to go into these new bathrooms we had to build because you wouldn't stop bitching about not feeling safe. And then that's when it becomes an issue. That's when you feel like you're being discriminated against, or you could be a target of something.
But, okay, so, what if us cis-gendered people can't go into that bathroom? You know what I'm saying? Would that make it seem a little bit more equal?
I understand what you're getting at, but
I said, right now I'm speaking knowing that I may be saying something ignorant, but it's well intentioned. So I'm kind of
right. You're searching around for answers, and and again, I'm probably not the best person to ask, but
exactly.
I'm giving you the best answers I can as someone who's trying to be empathetic to the cause.
Right. I'm having you kind of play the trans person. And sort of challenging my theories against yours.
Well, I would say, and I mean that's I would say that's still an issue where it's a privilege issue. You live in a world where you have the privilege where you can carry on freely without having to worry about the increased risk of bullying, the ostracization. Worrying about how the media perceives you, how your family perceives you, all these issues, and what this whole bathroom bill is about to begin with, I think, is them creating one more hurdle for trans people. One more freedom that they may have had privately. And now they don't have it. Now I don't know. There might be some trans people out there who like that idea.
Right.
One doesn't speak for the whole.
That's true.
But and they might feel that that's safer.
Well,
but I think they just, when you get down to it, they just want to be treated like everyone else. They want to have the same freedoms as everyone else. And that's just the way that I interpret this situation.
See, well, and I guess what I go back to is like, okay, I mean, they still do because, as a man, it's not illegal for me to go into a woman's room. And I think bathroom laws are a waste of time because, like we said last week, I think if you're breaking the law in a bathroom, you're going to get arrested no matter what bathroom you're in. So, if I'm thinking along the lines of being treated like everyone else, socially, as a man, I don't have the freedom to go into a woman's room. As a man, a cis-gendered man, I wouldn't have the freedom to go into the gender-neutral bathroom. And I guess maybe, let's take the law out of it.
But if you want to identify as a man, you want to identify as a man. If you want to identify as a woman, you want to identify as a woman. If you want to identify as someone transitioning, you're identifying yourself as transitioning. There's certain ways that people want to identify themselves or how they feel that they are, and they want to be able to express that and live their lives as that. And that's what fighting this is about, allowing those people to continue to have the freedoms to just be normal by expressing who they feel they really are.
Yeah. Well, and I'm wondering, too, all right, maybe as a business owner, just as a business owner, you kind of give the option. Either that or what you do is you have large family changing rooms or something, which a lot of places have already.
Yeah, especially in malls. A lot of Targets have them. I have to use them a lot for work when I'm out with my clients.
I mean, maybe what you do is you build a bunch of if there's a public restroom with 6 stalls, you build 6 family restrooms. But the question is, okay, now it's going to cost people money to build those, to the business owners. The cost is on them.
I think you're placating discrimination when you do that. You could easily solve this problem by just saying, if you And I understand what you're saying, because when you get down to it, a man isn't supposed to go into a woman's room. A woman isn't supposed to go into a man's room. I understand.
Well, and Kyle, remember, I'm talking about changing rooms, not so much
yeah,
bathrooms.
You're talking about locker rooms, but bathrooms, whatever it may be. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Okay, and remember, it's about that person's choice, and it's about that person's freedom to have the same choice to live their life the same way we do. I think when you get into building new locker rooms or building, and again, I might be wrong. Maybe again, my perspective,
right, exactly,
isn't
right. You don't speak for all trans people because here's the thing too.
But I just have the idea that they, especially if they want to identify as a man or a woman because they feel it's what they really are, and eventually they transition into being a man from a woman or a woman from a man. Well, then. They want to change in the men's locker room then, or they want to change in the women's locker room then. It's about the freedom to make that choice and to be who they are and to be who they feel they really are. And I think you just got to leave it at that. I think when you get into construction projects and allocating money for this and stuff, first of all, people aren't going to vote for that. If you try to make it a bill, it's not going to get passed. You're trying to ask legislation and projects and funding to be passed for stuff.
Well, to be fair, I said let's leave the law out of it and just think of it as a business owner.
Well, as a business owner, sure, but
right.
you business owners aren't going to act across the board. And
I just
really
wanted to make it clear that I'm not advocating for any bathroom legislation because, like I've said many times, I think bathroom legislation is a waste of time.
And when and not only that too, it in any of these southern states, and when it get passed, it's the way it is. Most people there are comfortable about this bill, and even though the reports of the number of people who were actually at these rallies have been exaggerated in some circles, there have been rallies. In I believe it's Columbia or Raleigh. Yes, Raleigh. Excuse me.
Okay,
my bad.
I can never remember if Raleigh's
is
in
it
North
Raleigh or
South.
Charlotte?
I know Charlotte.
I'm getting my capitals mixed up.
Well,
damn it!
Charlotte's North Carolina. I think Raleigh's South Carolina.
No, Raleigh is in North Carolina, but which one's the capital?
Let me do a Google
search.
Is
it Charlotte or Raleigh? I used to know this stuff. I was so good.
Thank you, Kyle. We were having a really intelligent debate there.
I could have just said at the North Carolina Capitol. Anyway, there have been rallies supporting this bill.
Yes, Raleigh is the capital
so
of
I
North
was right
Carolina.
the first time. All right, I'm cooking now, baby. Just like fourth grade, all over again.
Let me tell you something,
I'm gonna
Kyle.
fill out one of those maps.
And I learned this. I learned this doing sports with Fred. Okay, if you're not 100% sure about something, talk around it. Talk in vagaries, not like instead of saying is it Raleigh or Charlotte. You could have just said the North Carolina capital.
I could have, but I didn't. It says that's what happens. I'm not. I fell off the broadcasting cliff, man. I'm just down here in a basement with you now.
Well, and here's the thing. Okay, we'll shelve this discussion for right now because, like I said, I'm in the malleable opinion phase right now, and when I come up with new theories, I'll bounce them off you. Maybe we can try to find someone from a trans advocacy group. Maybe I can bounce these off them. And and we can spitball. So thank you for standing in as my left wing moral compass.
I did the best that I could.
You did a great job.
I can't tell you if I actually did a good job.
Well, okay, so
I tried. All I can tell you is that I tried.
Let me tell you something that's really been bothering me. Okay,
your phone.
Mom, I told you I'm podcasting. You know what? Let me take this.
Mom, I told you I'm podcasting. That sentence has never changed a thing ever in the history of podcasting.
Real quick, I'm going to take this call. We're going to come back, and I'm going to get into something that's really been bothering me. It's turn the radio off on the internet.
Turn the radio off with Mike Parsons.
No drug dealers living next to me. Pretty good deal.
Kyle Bauer.
Yeah.
People hate my podcast.com.
It's sometime in the future. The ultimate challenge. Crossfire.
exactly is it that makes a Ford Escort GT so much fun? Well, let's start with its powerful 16-valve dual overhead cam engine. It's a blast. A scream. It really cooks. Then there's Escort GT's great looks. You know, the kind that'll turn more heads than a screwdriver. Speaking of turns, that's where Escort GT's nimble sport suspension comes in. We're talking road hugging. So ask yourself, isn't it time for a little fun? Yeah. And have you driven a Ford lately?
Turn the radio off. Tell your friends about us. Make them like us on Facebook.
I am not sure if we are broadcasting properly.
Turn the radio off. Online and worldwide. TTROshow.com.
False alarm, everybody. My mom just did. She couldn't get a cable signal to her TV.
Which is funny because it's kind of what you predicted. You predicted it was something about the TV.
Well, here's the thing. I'm at that point in my life, and it's happened enough where I take it seriously. When you get a phone call out of the blue from one of your parents, you're thinking, oh, God, what's wrong?
Yeah, same here.
And I remember, actually, one time when I ignored the call, it was when I was doing the program. And Tap Detroit with Olin, and it turns out that my dad had a bad episode of MS mixed with pneumonia, and he was being rushed to the hospital. So
the program,
during the program, and I remember I said to Olin, and I said, "Hey, Olin, I'm sorry, I got to go take care of this." And he said, "Yeah, man, go. Yeah, man, go." And so that's why I always answer the phone. When my parents call, because I used to never, whatever, Mom.
Yeah, I know. I
know I got another bill I haven't paid. Okay, I'll get to it never.
My parents always leave voicemails, so I always just wait for the voicemail, or I just hope they'll send me a text afterward.
Right.
My dad's gotten really good with the text messages after the phone calls, though sometimes he'll leave both a text and voicemail, and that gets really annoying. However, the trap of being anywhere near your parents with all this new technology now. Oh, man, I was over the house on Sunday. I was just over to get a free dinner, to be honest, and this is going to sound terrible.
Well,
but
that's the price of free dinner.
Yeah, I was over just for a free dinner, baked chicken. And Mom was having issues with her tablet, and then Dad was having issues with the DVR. And here's the thing about, since I've moved out, Comcast, or Xfinity now I'm sounding like the old person, has completely redone their cable boxes and their layouts and their interfaces all different. The way you record and watch things is different now. The way you search for things is different now. I'm trying to learn this stuff myself because I haven't been there with them since it's changed.
Right.
So every time I come over, they automatically expect to know. It's like, I haven't had cable in 2 years. I don't know this. No, I don't. Sorry. I don't know how to fix your damn tablet. You got it for free with a couch. I can't help you.
Well, all 20-something, early 30-something millennials, every time you go over to your parents' house, it's the challenge, right? To get in, get out, eat, and leave before they ask you to look at some piece of technology.
Well, I think you saw this, really, since probably the 70s or 80s, ever since, stereos and those hi-fi stereos and cassette players and, I don't know, I guess anything other than Vitrolas. I mean, I can imagine VCRs. Oh, actually, I remember the VCR. My poor dad and my grandparents' VCR. He used to fight with that damn thing all the time, and he never got it to work. And I swear there was a couple times where he just lied to them and told them that it was working, and my grandparents thought they were recording the Grand Ole Opry or Lawrence Welk, but they never actually were.
Though, I think that we've seen the last big technology gap. I remember. I think you always remember the time you realize that you've surpassed your parent in something.
Yeah.
Whether it's you beat him at one, you beat your dad at 1-on-1 for the first time, or you helped him fix something. I think
I still haven't helped my dad fix anything or beat him one-on-one in anything.
What about technology, though?
Yeah, I guess it's where I have the one up. But even then, it's like a crappy default because I'm horribly ignorant with this stuff. It's just my parents are just that much worse.
Pre-internet, I always waited for my dad to come home and install something. Post-internet, let me do it. That's a technology gap. Like, we as kids, we were early adopters, right? Because you can't teach old dogs new tricks. So, we got on board with the internet. We got on board with smartphones and all these handheld devices. And our parents were like, I just use it for computer processing and emailing the grandparents' pictures, and that's it. So, like, I was always a step ahead of my parents. Like, my parents, they were never able to catch me looking at anything online because I always knew so much more about them. And I guess that's a concern for me, now that I'm thinking of having kids and everything. But I don't know. I kind of feel like, as long as I stay up to date with a smartphone and all of this stuff, I think that I'll at least be fluent enough in technology to spy on my kids.
The problem that I have, and I say this right now, and it'll probably change because I remember there was a time in like 2009 I thought I was never going to get a smartphone, and then I think I ended up getting one later in 2009.
Yeah.
I've never looked back.
Right, and you're like, whoa.
And I keep saying, well, I'm going to get rid of this thing. I don't really need it. But no, I'm not going to. Hell, mine broke the other day. And then when I got my new one in the mail and I was able to get all my pictures and videos and contacts back and everything, it was such a relief.
Yeah.
It really feels like you got your entire life wrapped up in this damn thing. I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. You would be in the vast minority if that's a thing. It's an oxymoron. Yeah, you would be. You would be in the minority if you feel, opposite. If you feel like you could just detach, but
see, and that's why I'm so resistant to change. Because once you get a smartphone, you're dependent on the smartphone. You can never go to the store and get a $20 phone.
Exactly.
Ever again.
Ever. And with me, like, I don't ever. The idea of Oculus Rift and virtual reality and all that stuff creeps me out. Like, I saw one of the creepiest pictures I've seen.
Is it that virtual reality thing, which I'm not sure if it's real? It's this video with Japanese writing on it, and some guy's got an Oculus Rift, and he's got like a tube up to his junk, and he's squeezing these animatronic boobs. That's not what you're talking about, huh? Damn it, I wish we were Facebook Living this right now because the stink face you're giving me. This thing's all over the internet, Kyle.
What X-Hamster videos have you been watching?
It's not. It's right there. Like, the guy, he's dressed in, like, what looks like lab gear. He's wearing Oculus Rift. He's got some kind of apparatus going towards his crotch. And it's showing, like, a video. He's watching, like, anime porn.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's, of course, well, that's the problem. I'm scared of becoming detached from reality. Well, I'm already so wrapped up in my phone. I could say I'm diverting my attention enough to where I already am. And I know, like, I remember one episode of the program you ripped on that Look Up bro who made that cheesy short film about the couple that almost met each other but never did because they wouldn't look up from their cell phones.
That's okay. You know why? You're going to meet 4 other skanks to bang on Tinder.
That's true.
Forget about it.
But anyway, but one of the creepiest photos I've seen was a room full of people all wearing virtual reality headgear. I don't know if it was Oculus Rift specifically, but it was something like that. And Mark Zuckerberg is like sprinting with a huge smile down the center aisle with a huge smile on his face, while everybody else is just warped into this virtual reality. I'm like, okay, no, this is fucked. Okay, no.
Now, were you creeped out because of all the people wearing Oculus Rift, or are you creeped out because Zuckerberg was smiling?
Both. Because, like, Zuckerberg is seeing world dominance.
Yeah.
Like, he's running down an aisle of world dominance. It's like Jimmy Buffett running down the aisle of a bunch of middle-aged, elderly white people, just collecting piles of cash from them. It was the exact same thing. It's a perfect metaphor. But it was so creepy that I decided, no, I can't do virtual reality. These hologram things, I'm probably going to be forced to like do these hologram and projection things, whatever the fuck. I don't like that. I don't like these big screens. Just the other day, I was driving up M10. And looking in my rearview mirror, they have that big new LED board on the front of the Kobo Center, and it's like playing some commercial, and it's so like in my rearview mirror, I got this big Ford commercial playing, and I'm looking back, I'm like, what the hell? It's 2016, and I can't stand it. I should have been. I always used to joke because I've kind of. I don't want to go okay Cupid here and say that I'm an old soul, but. I've always felt like I should have been born in like 1967 or something. Like I've never quite been mentally equipped for the time that we're in.
Yeah, but then you know what? You would hate the 8-track player. You'd hate the CD player.
Yeah, and I'd have Ronald Reagan and H.W. Bush to then rally against, I suppose. But I was going to say... no, I've revised that. I have now decided that I should have been born in 1947 and killed in Vietnam in 1967. Like I don't want anything to do. I want to stop here. I want to stop with my smartphone. I've never moved forward into the smart TV phase or anything. I have my 28-inch RCA TV that my parents got me as a housewarming gift. I almost said moving out gift. It was a moving out gift
to them.
Yeah, right. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, but they got me that as a housewarming. That was good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to go any further forward in technology. If that means my kids in the future making fun of me, fine. They'll all probably have the capability to control my mind with their stupid Oculus Rift anyways.
Before my mom called and got us off topic here.
That was a good topic, though. That was fun.
But this is something I want to touch on because I think it's important. Last segment, I almost said topic. Last segment, we were talking about the transgendered bathroom debate, and you and I had a good back and forth, and I was testing my theories, and you were giving me some good arguments against. And like I said, that's something I'm going to shelf for now. I can understand people being uncomfortable with it, but ultimately, I would like us to find a solution where everyone feels included. And that may sound Pollyannic and impossible, but I sincerely hope for that. Now, it seems like a lot of people, we talked about in the first segment how the anti-homosexual crowd out there is really digging in their heels and trying to resist by making laws or putting rhetoric out there that tries to make people think that legalizing gay marriage was a mistake or is a threat. They're out there saying, "Oh well, we have to accept gay people getting married. No, we have to have grown men in the locker rooms with our daughters." And then the next two things to fall are incest and pedophilia. And I don't like to argue with emotion, Kyle. I like to look at things pragmatically and destroy them with logic. So let's examine this logic. Number one, okay, you're saying that just because you feel that gay people should have the same rights as us, you feel like everything goes, right? And my first thought when I'm for or against something, is it harmful? So let's look at it. Gay marriage. Is it harmful? Who's it harming? It's harming people who are weirded out by it. That's it. Incest. How is that harmful? Well, number one, it pollutes the gene pool, right? I mean, it's a scientific fact that inbreeding leads to a lot of birth defects. And that's, that is...
and then they grow up to vote for anti-gay bills.
Right, exactly.
But, no, that was a cheap shot.
But, incest shows that it is bad for the evolution of our species. And a lot of people try to use that argument against gay people, saying that, oh, well, you need straight sex to populate the Earth. Well,
trust me, we're well overpopulated.
Well, and guess what? There's a lot of non-married people who are having babies too, okay? And when gay people have sex, there are no babies born. So you know what? There's no babies. There's no inbred babies being born with genetic defects.
And less food resources and pollution that come with children that you have to worry about too.
But so you can logically explain away why incest is wrong and shouldn't be allowed.
And why we should all go gay.
Pedophilia, that's a no-brainer. Who's the victim in that? The child. It screws them up mentally and emotionally. So, it's just to me this notion that if you're for gay people having the same rights as straight people, and if you're for making transgender people feel included, then you're for everything.
Yeah, and polygamy, which they just outlawed officially in Utah today, people have argued and said, well, what's wrong with polygamy then? And polygamy often entraps women in abusive and neglectful relationships. It creates a power structure that is not mentally stable and not emotionally stable, and often leads to abuse one way or the other. Not in every instance. I'm sure old Jed, has had his crop of women, all prim and proper, and they've lived fine, happy lives out there somewhere. But I'm just saying, for the most part, polygamy is also something that's dangerous. And it's caused a lot of issues, and that's why that, too, has been outlawed.
Right. So, look, here's the thing, okay? The thing is, if you accept homosexuality, you accept all perversions. Well, number one, I don't agree that homosexuality, it's a perversion. It's a preference. Number two, like I said, there is scientific, documentable evidence that shows that incest and pedophilia are perversions. Homosexuality is not a perversion. It's a sexual preference.
There can be perverted homosexuals.
And there's perverted straight people, too.
I've watched some perverted lesbians on X-Hamster before.
Right, and they had a safe word. And that's fine because they were in a safe space.
Absolutely.
But
amen.
But in all seriousness, just stop. You just make yourself look so ignorant. And I remember one person saying, I remember back in 2003, I was in a college class where we were discussing gay marriage, and 99% of the class were against gay marriage. In 2003, on a college campus, you would walk to a college campus, and it'd be 50-50. Do you know why? Because I was in college in 2003, and in my debate classes, it was split 50-50. Okay? You go into a college class now, and you say, hey, who's for pedophilia? Not a single person's raising their hand, and not a single person will raise their hand, ever.
And if they do, you should probably alert the authorities.
Exactly. So
yeah.
just stop with that, all right? Just stop with your slippery slope.
Yeah.
Because you know what? People are logical, and we know that there's a point where it's there's a point you don't go past.
It's also got to be incredibly insulting to compare homosexuality, where two people can be in a loving, consensual, healthy relationship, of-age relationship, yes, and to pedophilia, which is damaging. Well, I mean, hell, I don't even need to say it. It's just insulting that you hear comparisons to pedophilia, to bestiality, even to polygamy. No, homosexuality is very close to heterosexuality when it comes to romance and interpersonal relationships. And it's the way it is.
Right.
It's the way it'll be.
Consensual homosexual sexual relations, there's no victim there. You know who is victimized? Are the gay people who don't feel like they're going to be accepted being gay, because then people are going to accuse them of being
pedophile
sister diddlers
into bestiality. Yeah. Which by the way, that is a joke that not very long ago was common. It was synonymous male homosexuality and pedophilia. You would hear that joke a lot.
Yeah.
There was somebody on WXOU's airwaves. Do you remember the old pizza guy who would...
oh, yeah, Pizza King and Tommy Spaghetti.
Pizza King, yeah. Well, we all loved Pizza King when he was serving us pizzas. But then WXOU Live made the college radio mistake of giving him a little bit too much airtime.
Yeah.
And Ferndale came up. Ferndale, a predominantly gay Detroit suburb, came up, and he said, "Oh, yeah, Ferndale, where all the pedophiles hang out." And that was the end of him.
Yep. Hey, you know what? Drop the pizza away from the microphone and get out.
That was the end of Pizza King. And Pizza King was soon replaced by a Papa John's after that. The whole empire crumbled.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the conservatives would say that there's an attack on Pizza King after that.
Listen, when I say poor Pizza King, I don't sympathize with the comments he made. I sympathize with his ignorance, and I wish that the poor guy somebody would have gotten a hold of him and said, "Man, pedophiles and homosexuals are two completely different things. Please don't say things like that in public."
We got to go. This is a new Good Charlotte joint. These guys are pushing 40, and they're making pop punk that's just my speed now, Kyle. Although I was always, it was weird. Back when I was a kid, if you liked Green Day, you thought Blink-182 sucked. If you liked New Found Glory, you thought Good Charlotte sucked. So I was a Green Day New Found Glory guy. But Young and the Hopeless was a good album, and their middle-aged dad pop punk, it's soothing to the ears. So you know what? I'm older. I can like all sorts of the same genre. We'll be back next week. Turn the radio off. Bye.